Welcome to the Shipsgonnahappen podcast show. My name's Tony B. Alongside me as usual is David B. and Timmy D. Today's topics this Saturday, September 25th. We've got a special interview with Camilla, who used to be an owner of a trucking company and now works for another company. Today's topics will be the storm is upon us. Number 2 with David B. LTL carriers become more selective in what they haul. We're just three Americans discussing the topics that affect the transportation industry. Our views, the views of us three, are purely news-driven and do not express the views of any transportation provider or any entity that uses any transportation provider. It's just three guys with 70 years of experience covering the topics that impact the industry, that brings us to products that make us all happy Americans. Welcome to the Shipsgonnahappen podcast show, the number one shipping podcast show in the nation.
In the nation.
You can catch us on YouTube, Rumble, iTunes, Twitter, and our home website, Shipsgonnahappen.com. And you can get us on SoundCloud.com too. David B., how are you doing, brother?
Doing well, producer Tony. Hope you're doing well today. If you're watching us on YouTube, smash that like button, click subscribe, share that video for us if you would, so we can get our videos out there and get some more people following us. Today's show is sponsored by The Great Divide, 743 East New York Street, downtown Indianapolis. Great place to go on a Saturday afternoon, catch some live jazz, get a good meal, wet your whistle with some good cocktails, and have a good conversation with the locals. And is this 3 weeks in a row, Timmy D? We've had you back in the studio
it's consecutive amazing.
Weeks.
And I almost missed today, but I heard Camilla was going to be on the hook with us, so I wanted to definitely ask her some questions, get her inside knowledge on the Shipsgonnahappen show from first-hand perspective. Good to see everybody on a Saturday morning.
Great to see you, my
Awesome.
friend.
So, Camilla, you thanks for joining us today. And David B., you want to bring her in?
So, Camilla, how are things in the great state of West Virginia? How are you this morning?
They are great. It's great. We're busy and just trucking along.
So, Camilla, tell us about your years in this industry. What got you into it and how things have gone? You know, you mentioned the other day when you and I were talking that you used to own a trucking company. Can you give us some insight on your background, please?
Sure. I went to college for accounting in South Carolina. Go Gamecocks. Met my ex-husband there. He was also an accountant. And then we kind of got into trucking. We were both burnt out, and he actually came in my office one day and said, I want to start trucking. Went to a company out of Wisconsin, and shortly thereafter, we bought our first truck, and the next thing I know, we had 6 trucks rolling. We had a dedicated fleet from Hickory, North Carolina, to the Ashley warehouse in Salt Lake City. And then we would bring frozen French fries and onions back east. And the next thing I know, 6 trucks turns into like 12 trucks. And we did that until the early 2006. So we started in 95. We went until 2006. And then we sold out. A larger company bought us out.
Oh, okay. So was that so do you look back at that as that was the right thing to do, considering that you got bought out in that time frame? Because that was right before the economy kind of went in the shitter. So probably a good move, right?
Yes, it was an awesome move. Like I said, we were both accountants, very career-driven people. Accountants get burnt out very easily. And so
I don't know how you even start that career. I don't even know how you get into crunching numbers like that.
Yeah. And he loved trucking. He loved it. So much. We were helping other people. And like I said, I stepped down. I still did accounting on the side, but I also stepped down, and I was his broker. I was on those load boards every day, getting us loads in between our little, deadhead runs. So yeah, it provided a great life for us.
But you're back in the industry now, right?
Now I'm back in the industry. Yes, I'm back in the industry.
And are you liking this side of it also?
I do. I love it. I love, being a female in the trucking agents. Trucking is not looked upon in the best way, I guess. It's hard for me sometimes, but I get disrespected a lot, but they don't think I can hold my own, and they don't think I know what I'm talking about. And then once I come to their level, they're like, oh, I gotcha. So you would encourage females to be as involved as possible in the industry. Of course.
Well, let me ask you this. What do you think could get more females involved into trucking?
what do I think about it, or how about it? Say that again.
How could the industry lure more female drivers into the industry?
You know, I think about that sometimes because there's only 3 females I know do a job like I do. And it is, I don't know. I think about that a lot because I look at my daughter. I have a 15-year-old and I look at her and I'm like, would I want her to do what I do?
Right.
And would you?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
I would 100% want her to do what I do. It has its moments. It's challenging. I had a very challenging moment this morning, but you know, you just work through it. It's like any job. There's a problem arise, but the trucks have to roll to keep America going. I mean, it has to happen.
Very well said. Well said. Yeah, great. So rates, how dumb are you seeing rates? I mean, we talk about it often on this show. Oh my goodness,
just
crazy.
I was laughing earlier. We have one on the border right now to Florida, and that dispatcher came at me with a number. I just was like, no, thanks. You have a great day. You know, I have no problem saying no.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
they're outrageous right now. They are outrageous.
The fruit season's over, so getting to Florida is going to cost a little bit more than it did back in May and June.
Nothing coming back.
Right. New Jersey, we're seeing outrageous in Jersey. Jersey's outrageous right now.
Which is isn't there a bunch of ships going over towards the East Coast now?
I think they're all backed up though. That's why. Yeah, they're all backed up.
And there's just not enough trucks in the area. We're just running them too hard right now.
So is it a big dead haul out of the Northeast then, is what you're telling me?
Yes. And in the Southeast as well.
So Camilla, you mentioned to me the other day that you're working from home. That's got to be pretty nice for you. When you're not working from home, is your office in Elkins, or where would your office be?
Yes, it is. It is in Elkins, in our beautiful downtown Elkins, West Virginia.
That is very beautiful town.
I'm headed to West Virginia next weekend. Going to
well, come on.
Hicco.
Yeah, Hicco down there by Fayetteville.
Fayetteville, Summitville. Yeah,
it's a Hicco.
Okay, true West Virginian there telling us
No, I'm from South Carolina. I've lived here 4 years. I lived in Fayetteville for the 4 years. I just moved to Elkins actually 6 months ago.
Is it the best place you've ever lived? You can lie.
I love Fayetteville. My heart is with Fayetteville, but it is. I lived in Nashville for a while as well, and that's a place I will never visit again.
Okay.
Whoa, never again? Really?
Right. Okay.
Nashville was too much.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have for young females looking to get in the industry? Is there something you would like to pass along? Because we're always looking for that younger generation.
Don't let anything deter you just because you are a female. And with anything in life, but this is such a lucrative business and it is so easy. And if you want to do this, you get it on that ground floor, you work hard, and there is money to be made, and there is so much you can do for your name, and just be proud of what you do every day. Because you might be sitting behind a computer, but you are helping these drivers get out there and, is rolling. Like I said, you're providing for America. So you do it. And just because you are a female doesn't mean that you can't stand up for yourself. It's taught me a lot. It's taught me a lot of self-respect, respect for others, and how to treat others and talk to each other.
It's taught you a lot of patience
this business has taught me a lot. Yes. Even when I was younger, and with my ex-husband, and we were out there on the road, I would go with him a few times on loads just because I would get to see America, and how I loved it. I loved it. I always kind of wanted to get my CDL. Didn't, but
do you think this industry is tough for women to get into because it is so it's so old blood man? Does that make sense? Old American male dominance. It more intimidates women.
Yes, 100%. 100%. So that's how I believe.
Don't be scared, women. Join the industry. You can handle your own.
Exactly.
We need to start a school, the Camilla School of getting into logistics and then
getting into trucking. Come on, I'll do it. Hey, I wanted to teach, and then I got to schools, and I'm like, no. And then I had my daughter, and I'm like, no.
Right,
Camilla, do you think? Excuse me. Do you think there is anything us as an industry could do to help motivate or maybe eliminate the challenges or obstacles for women to get into trucking?
Yeah, I do. Well, I grew up around construction, and it was very frowned upon for women to be in construction.
Right.
And now I talk to people, and they're female laborers and
There's a
female
lot more.
carpenters, and they're out there doing great because they switched the gears and started making it more female driven. I think that's what we need to do in the trucking industry as well. We need to get it a little more female driven and teach these women it's okay. I mean, it's a great way to provide for your family. It's a great way to provide for yourself. Even if you're out there in a truck, you're doing a great service. I think, through the pandemic, we praised the nurses and the emergency staffs. I don't think the truckers got enough of praise during this because they kept us rolling. They kept us going. And they had a lot to go up against. These plants weren't letting them in. These plants were, you have to do this, you have to do that. Things were a mess for a couple of months. I mean, they were just roll. And women, we can multitask. And I think it needs to be more driven towards that. Not quite sure how to do that, how to market it more towards women. That was something I would have to research and get back with you on.
Yeah, we need someone like you to step up and say, look, I've done it. It's something you can do, right? I think someone from your perspective would help lead the front that says it can be done. And,
yes, exactly.
But it sounds like you're a person that stands on your ground too. You're not scared to tell that old blood male that, hey, look, this is the right way to do it. This is what we're going to do. And it sounds like you've done a good job on doing that.
No problem in that. I stand my ground. I've been talked to like I'm not a human being. I've been, sweetie, you work with me. I'm not your sweetie. I'm hearing you.
Right.
That's what
right,
we're
girl.
doing right here.
That's right.
There we go.
Let them know.
So Camilla, what is during all this for the last almost 2 years now, we've gone through this COVID stuff. What's the most challenging thing you've been dealing with the last couple of years?
In the beginning, the drivers were so respectful to us. They were like, yes, we're going to do it for this. They're worn out just like all of Americans are, but they're worn out and they just like these prices, these rates, and they have no respect for us anymore. They are just like, you don't want to do 28. All right. They know the next person's going to do 2,800 for that 100-mile run. It's just, they're worn out like we are. Like, I can't say that enough. And we're trying to be respectful to them and give them a great rate. And they're just take because they feel like they've been taken advantage of. They haven't had enough praise. These drivers have not had enough praise. One
of the recent things in the Driver's Safety Act, I don't know if you're familiar with the Camilla, but a part of the infrastructure deal was the Driver's Safe Act, which they're going to go back into high schools. And how we all took shop. I don't know how old you are, but we all had shop class. Like most of the men had to do shop class. The girls went into home economic stuff. Well, I think what they're going to do is they're going to try to get the students to get into diesel training as mechanics and as drivers. And I think the rollout of that's in New Mexico and parts of Texas. And it'll help the people get into the trucks at 18, 19 years of age, because currently you can only you can't really do it till you're 21. And some states are starting to independently alleviate that by allowing the drivers to drive more hours and some of the younger kids to be able to do in-state only. So that might help.
Yes, I think it would. I've heard that. I did read something that they were trying to get the younger generation to do it. I didn't know about the diesel. I think that is awesome.
Yeah, we definitely.
I was shocked that my daughter doesn't have home economics. And yes, I'm old enough to know what that
right.
is.
Yeah.
Yes, she does. It's called DoorDash.
There we go.
No, not in this house.
Not in that house, huh?
Virginia.
Wow.
You got laws and regulations or no DoorDash where you're at.
Wow. There you go. So
However you want to slice it.
So
not in West Virginia.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So Camilla, one of the things that we have here, we're kind of a fledgling podcast. We just kind of got started here in January. And one of the things that we have is we have our Shipsgonnahappen Hall of Fame, HAUL of Fame. We'd like to induct you today into the Shipsgonnahappen Hall of Fame.
Congratulations.
And like to see if we could bring like next Friday, I'm out in West Virginia. I'd like to bring you a Shipsgonnahappen Hall of Fame t-shirt, if that's all right with you.
Sure.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Off air, I'll text you and get your size or whatever, and we'll figure out something.
And whenever
we'll
you guys want me on again, I love it. I love that y'all are out there.
Well, thank you.
These guys, and and this is a discussion that needs to happen.
Yeah, we'll definitely get you back on. So we appreciate you taking
awesome.
time today to meet with us.
enjoy
what you
West
do as
Virginia.
well.
Yeah, and you can, and if you want to spread the word for us, we're on YouTube and we're on www.shipsgonnahappen.com website, and YouTube is Shipsgonnahappen. So we appreciate you getting on today. Thank you. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks,
Well, y'all
Camilla.
have a great rest of your
Thank
day,
you
and
very
come on
much.
up here to
Hey,
West Virginia and enjoy the beautiful fall we're having.
Definitely.
Oh, it's awesome.
Boo.
Don't tease
yay.
Who said boo?
Hey, I know you get to see all the trees. I don't know why people like fall. What excites you about watching everything die?
My favorite. My
It's
favorite.
David's
it's a
favorite
renewing.
part
To
of
me,
the
it's a renewing. Everything's dying and it's going to come back in a few months.
That's a good way to look at it.
There we go.
I like it to be hot all year long.
Yeah.
You want it to be hot all year?
I like the hot. Yeah,
Okay,
I love
don't
it.
invite me back on this podcast.
There you go. From West Virginia, she's
Boom.
throwing shade
Yeah,
at Tony.
there we
too.
go.
Yeah.
All right. Y'all have a great
Hey,
Thanks
thank
a lot,
you.
Camilla.
So much.
All right.
All righty. Bye bye.
guys.
Listen to the Ship's Gonna Happen show.
Very
All
good.
right.
Very
Camilla
good.
will-
Yeah. All right. Hall of Fame. I can't do that button at the same time. All right. Let's get going. All right. Topic number 1, right? The storm is upon us, right? Here we go. Let's get into it. All right. So we've talked a lot about Christmas shopping early and the ships off the port, right? So as of right now, MX SoCal, which is the Marine Exchange of Southern California, as of Monday, the ports have set a new record. That's this past Monday. We're up to 154 ships in port at LA and Long Beach. That's a new record according to MX SoCal. There are 97 container ships, 27 at berth, which means they're in a holding spot or a dock near the dock. A record 37 are in drift areas, which are outside the berthing areas, and another 46 are arriving this weekend. We have passed the COVID surge. Since August, the ships are growing in number off the coast, and it's not going to stop. So the ports are trying to help with this by working nights and weekends to try to alleviate the congestion, but it's not working out so well due to the continuous arrival of new ships. Remember when we discussed China ports being shut down due to COVID, right? The factory belt there, where their big outbound container port is, ships out about $4 trillion of goods. That's amazing. That's a lot of goods, right?
That's trillion with a T.
Yeah,
Yes.
T with a trillion. Tango, or for Timmy.
Tango.
Yeah.
Tango.
They are barely getting ships and containers out due to the shutdown, and they're way behind. Here's some quick stats, and we'll hit this pretty quick and get out of it. From Singapore, LA, Long Beach, Alaska, Georgia, Liverpool, Hamburg, Rotterdam, and Yitin, China, there are over 400,000 20-foot containers sitting idle. Wow. This is a massive disruption. Danish carrier Maersk, we call it here in America, but I think it's Maersk, pronounced as the Danish would, is up 34%.
I like Danishes.
I do too. Hot Danishes. They're up 34% through the first half of this year. Their competition is up 416%. From Best Buy to Nordstrom, they're expecting high stress levels during the holiday season. They're already saying it. So what I wanted to do is go around through some of the international shipping topics real quick, and then we'll dive out of this into David B's topic. Here is something from the Journal of Commerce I pulled up, and these are quick headlines. Only import relief will ease when the U.S. chassis availability rises, which means the people that make chassis aren't getting their imports in enough to make the equipment available for the trucks and trailers to haul the containers off. So they're saying they're at maximum capacity right now.
So there's basically too many containers that don't have any wheels to roll them. That's what that means.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. And then those have to roll somewhere that have to be worked. So that's a whole different problem within that. So not enough chassis for the containers that are already loaded, that are hand loaded over in China, that are shoved with cartons, basically full to the brim, shipped over, but they have nowhere to go because there's nothing to put them on to move them to destination.
Exactly.
The average dwell days is 10. Dwell meaning, like Tim said, how long when they come off the boat are they sitting there waiting to be taken away or whatever. So the average day is 10.
Yep.
Sorry.
No, and it's adding to it with the new ones coming in.
Yeah.
So here's one we talked about that Timmy mentioned earlier today. I don't know if we recorded that or if it was when we were discussing stuff, But agriculture exporters in California have no containers to export. So they're begging Oakland, California, to open up their port. It got shut down. Most of the industry left Oakland. I don't know why. I didn't look into that, but last fall. So they're begging Oakland to open it up so they can get their exports out. So we're still into that, and that was as of September 21st. So here's another headline. New Orleans asked for federal aid due to Hurricane Ida damage because their ports are closed, right? So you got all this stuff going on. New data reveals that U.S. ports are inefficient due to no berthing areas for these ships to stage themselves. So they're
but they weren't expected to have 4,000 container ships.
I know.
If the cycle would stay fluent,
right.
In this industry, the cycle has to stay fluent for anyone to be able to handle the capacity that's coming at them.
Right. Yes.
The normal wait time for the normal amount of containers or shipping vessels that are out there waiting to be unloaded is 1.
Yeah.
That's the normal when things are normal.
That's normal, yeah.
That's the normal.
So I'm going to put this into everyday American life real quick, the best I can. Basically what Tony B is ascribing, and just headlines alone, this is basically saying that Guns N' Roses is making an appearance at a high school theater that only seats 2,000 people.
Right.
But they have 100,000 people that want tickets.
See 'em. Yeah.
Right? So they have the capacity. There's 100,000 people in cars that can come and physically be there. But there's only 2,000 seats available to see Guns N' Roses.
Exactly.
Where I pulled Guns N' Roses out, I don't know, maybe a month and a half ago. They were in
some
Indy.
good music.
But I'm just saying that to your everyday, or you see McDonald's drive-through lines right now.
Yeah.
They got the double drive-throughs at almost all of them. Half of those are shut down on one lane because it's not that they can't handle the amount of people that want food that fast. So they limit the amount of orders they take at one time. Whether you see like a Wendy's, they shut down the whole inside because they don't have the staff to feed that many people at that time. So that's what these containers and that's what you're talking about. The chassis not available, the place for berth as you call it, or whatever it's called in the industry, which I didn't even know, which is great. Yep. They don't have a place for these things to go. So the only thing to do is to restrict them and allow them to sit in the ocean until your time comes.
They go to drift stage,
which
is way out off the coast,
and that's basically what they're doing. So what you're seeing every day when you drive by a McDonald's or a Wendy's, or you can't, these people are taking up, you don't have a seat at a table at somewhere. It's because of the exact same thing that's happening in the shipping world.
Exactly. Well said, Tim. Thanks for putting that into the basic. What we need.
We call that in the Marine Corps Barney style. You break out the crowns, and that's how we do it.
All right. So. And it goes on. Labor judge rules that Charleston, South Carolina port is in dispute over a new terminal with the ILA, which is the International Longshoremen's Association. That's a union. This dispute hangs on a clause that was inserted in 2003 that requires ILA representation of workers operating ship-to-shore cranes and yard equipment. So if you're not in the ILA, you're not getting in. So that they don't have enough of them. So the ports tried to bring in more people that weren't a part of that, and it got shut down due to the 2003 agreement. So port officials in southeastern U.S. are taking steps to help importers, exporters navigate terminal congestion. That isn't going to ease anytime soon. That's just a headline. And then here's one that we were talking about with the Northeast trucking rates being up because it's all the consumption is coming from the ports, and they're dragging all the trailers and tractors in. So it's limiting truckload capacity from the East Coast, and it's dragging into the LTL sector because they're trying to make smaller loads to get into the LTL sector. So I'll finish it off here with a couple more of these headlines. Baltimore receives new crane for berth expansion. Right. So Baltimore's trying to do it, and they're using fully electric cranes starting this Thursday for a second berthing area that will open up when the cranes are put into commission, but they're not going to be put into commission to the next 2 months. Then you got the Port of Philadelphia. The marine terminal suspends vessel service to clear container blockage. So they've shut down and basically due to the congestion. And they're not going to open back up for another couple of weeks. So it's just going to pile up more and more. So, and on to the ILA again, International Longshoremen's Association, at their ports where they are, have agreed that none of their workers will work any robotic ships or cranes in a solidarity gesture with other maritime employees at risk from automation technology. So
how long is that contract good for? Do we know?
I don't know, but it was an agreement in 2003. Usually they do those contracts 10, and they may have been re-signed or amendments made to it.
Kind of hoping you might say into perpetuity, but that's fine.
So
what though? Did you guys just talk about?
I just said a word with lots of syllables in it.
Tell you. Ship's going to happen.
It is definitely going to happen. So the loss effective container capacity is driving record spot rates out of the roof. And it's not going to stop anytime soon. And we are now into basically Long Beach and Los Angeles are going to record 20 million containers brought through this year. And remember, they're a third of U.S. imports. So, and then here's one funny. Long Beach hopeful major rail hub will win final permits. So what Long Beach is trying to do is bring the rail hub right to the dock, right? So they can just drop these trailers right on to the rail yard, right?
Right.
2032 is when it'll happen. Wow. So it's
we're almost there.
Yeah, we're almost there.
Well, blink of an eye.
And then this one was good. Georgia eases trucker hours amid COVID-19 outbreak. So Georgia is allowing their truckers to carry oversized loads and to work longer hours, which would be against the federal limit, but they made a state emergency session to allow that to happen. So maybe that's something, because we've talked about the hours before.
Check me down for one random thought after we get through all these topics on that.
Okay. So the bottom line is this.
Sum it up for us.
If you want a good Christmas, you better buy your gifts now.
Or you should have done it already.
You better listen to The Ship's Gonna Happen, because I dug deep, knees deep into this thing, into the weeds. If you see something out there that you need for Christmas, you better grab it now. This is Tony B. We're going to go to David B next. You ready, David B?
Great topic, producer Tony.
Thank you, sir.
All right, going to hit up a topic that we've discussed on this show many times before. We've talked about FedEx in the past, kind of cutting their customer base by about 1,400 customers. Read an article earlier this week where Old Dominion and ArcBest are kind of going to do the same thing. They're just business is overflowing, and they need to work on what they want to do is kind of take care of their more profitable customers, and instead of just anybody. ArcBest is calling this deliberate moderation, is how they're terming this, how they're not going to pick up certain customers.
I used to tell my women back in the days the same thing.
Deliberate moderation.
Deliberate moderation.
Little moderation.
That's right, baby. So, like Tony touched on this too, some of the truckload things that, some of the shipments that normally wouldn't go LTL are kind of flowing into the LTL. I'm as guilty as much as anybody, where I'll take a shipment that probably should have went truckload and busted up into 2 or 3 LTL shipments to try to help save a little bit of money. I know the carriers probably don't like it a whole lot, but I'm trying to give them more business.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And it's been that way for a while. So.
You're the one that clogs up the network on the LTL side that slows down all the LTL from delivering on time, because your volume shipment
I'll take the blame.
Screws everything up.
I'll take the blame. And then, so reading this story, they are, this story is from Supply Chain Dive, is the website, and the author of the story, or the interviewer in the story, is saying best thing you can do is sit down with your LTL provider and come up with a solution. And they suggest that one of the solutions is get with your 3PL. And I'm like, now those carriers are not going to give the 3PL the priority as they would over the direct customer. So I'm not so sure that's the best advice. It might be good advice, but I'm not so sure it's the best advice.
Well, I think. Hold on, real quick. I think the advice may become, because if a 3PL is already leveraging X amount of dollars, they have blanket rates. The carrier won't know when they're using those big volumes within said blanket rates versus giving you a better spot direct with an asset base.
Right. I mean,
That's what I'm thinking.
I would do it if my 2 main LTL carriers cut me off or limited. I'd do the 3P. I'd go the 3P route if I had to.
From the dark side.
Yeah.
But also, and this also goes to talk about the author of the article saying that, there's some of these customers that have been cut off, and we've discussed this on this show, that they're not too happy about it. So when things swing back the other way, those customers are going to remember that.
Yeah.
Getting
Correct.
cut off. So.
And it will.
Well, and it will. But I when you say cut off, that means they got to find another way to go about it. The thing what FedEx did was they did not give the 1,400 an option.
Right.
They literally said, we're not picking you up.
Right.
Right. So they had to, it wasn't here's a 50% increase. It was, we're not doing business. Have a great day.
Right.
And no harm, no foul. It sucks for the sales side because, like you said, when it comes back, they got to go back in that same damn door and say, look, I know I cut you off, but I really need it back. And the guy's going to probably say, no, you're not. But price talks a lot when it comes to the industry. We've talked about that. And I just worry that if ABF and OD is getting ready to do that, who's next? Is it a yellow? Is it a T-Force? Where does it stop? And what customers is everyone targeting? Do the other companies start picking up that business and shave some of their other profitable business because they know they can get whatever they want from said customer?
Yep.
And then that's, again, back to inflation and how goods go up. And that piece of metal that is 18 foot long that nobody ever wants to haul, that used to cost you $1,000 may cost you $4,000 to ship. Now that goes to somebody. It's the person that's going to be using it. It's the consumer. And I just, you can pick and choose all day. And I think carriers do that every day with every customer they have to a certain extent, but you still need, I hate to say this the wrong way, but you need some of the non-profitable business to push your profitable business.
To drive the lanes.
Correct. You got to fill your trailers. I mean, in the LTL industry, all your money is the space on the trailer. And unless you're putting a good mix together to fill that trailer to capacity, because what I say, 60% is line haul. Does that sound right?
Yeah,
65% in the industry is your line haul cost.
Yeah.
So if you're not filling every single gap and putting that puzzle together, you're
losing money.
It's a 5,000 piece puzzle that you're trying to put together. Or, in a lot of companies, I mean, I'm sure everyone out there is picking up between 35 to 70,000 bills a day. You're trying to make sure that those 35 to 70,000, depending on how big the company is, that it's the right piece, the right mix to where you've got the right heavy with the right light.
Yeah.
You don't want too much of either or because it really screws and it screws your trailer up to where you can't drive it and fill the capacity to make your money on the line haul.
And I think it's well said, Timmy D. I think you hit on it. You hit the nail on the head there. I think it's the perfect storm has happened because when you look at the LTL carriers, you only have five long haul national carriers, right? So you look back at the carriers, just 10, maybe 5, 10 years, 15 years ago, we were making pennies on a dollar, right? So the opportunity, go ahead.
No, you know, still are. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them have increased, making more pennies on the dollar, right? So it was the perfect storm. And I think you have to be selective because I think part of what's driving that is you can't get the equipment. You can't get the equipment to accommodate everybody.
Or the drivers to pull the equipment.
Or the drivers. So it's kind of the perfect storm, good and bad. Bad's for the customer because maybe that stuff's getting put at risk. But at the same time, it's a good storm for the carriers to kind of reset their assets and clean up some accounts that maybe were not so profitable.
Well, and it put me down for random thoughts to continue this topic on the back half of this. I don't want to lose focus too much. There's metrics that the operation and pricing and sales all use together, whether it's revenue, tonnage on a trailer. Yeah. There's a lot, bill count. There's a lot of ways you can slice it up. The question is, how are these companies doing it and why?
Yeah. And for the 3PLs that aren't getting that truck space, I mean, maybe they should become small, light asset based 3PLs and get some equipment because
liability.
It's not going to get any better anytime soon.
Right.
Nope.
So yeah, that's all. I mean, I've had 2 LTL carriers and 2 truckload carriers cut me off in the last 15, 16 months. So it is what it is. So somebody will take it.
Someone will, but the question is the cost to do business.
Exactly. Yep. So we ready to get into random?
Let's do it.
Yeah, I think. Hey, Ship's going to happen. Appreciate everyone listening to the hot topic. Stick around. We'll dive a little deeper into everything, I think, and discuss it in full.
Yep. All right. So you're listening to Tony B, Timmy D, David B. He always starts us off with some good random thoughts.
Wow. why me first? So anyway,
why me? Pick me. Why me? Pick me. Why me? Pick me.
So we had a text from Timmy D earlier in the week where the Ship's Gonna Happen shirt made an appearance in Wisconsin. Timmy D, how'd that trip go?
Oh, we went to the worldwide stage, folks. Worldwide. We need to put that on the old Facebook or the homepage.
We do.
Went up to the Ryder Cup. Had a ticket for a practice round. Had to make a trip up there. It's just a different venue. So the course is absolutely amazing. They took a flat land and Pete Dye back in, I want to say early 2000s. He went in and they brought in hundreds of thousands loads of trucks of dirt and just kind of killed it that way. And this course has held a couple 3 U.S. Opens, I believe. This is the first Ryder Cup. Got pushed back from last year. But the venue and they can say you got the President's Cup, which is the United States versus the world, literally the whole world. Everyone's involved. Then the Ryder Cup is the United States versus
Europe, right?
Right. Europe. Well, it's still the United States versus everybody else. And it's just the patriotic, to me, everyone there is, and kind of talked about on the September 11th edition, that Saturday we did it, is everyone is the September 12th, 2001 people. Everyone loves each other, and that includes Europeans that are there, right? There's a little bit less of them this year because of the COVID and the restrictions there, but everyone loves each other. Everyone's nice to each other. It's like, no, here, look, you want to see them? Let me get out of your way. Let me do that.
Wow.
So, yeah, need to get that picture, but it was just cool to be on a world stage there and see those guys in person. They're amazing. I know a lot of people, I always get made fun of that golf is an old man hobby. Well, it is a hobby. I get what you're saying, the way I play it, but the way these guys play it, they are just phenomenal to see.
Hours and hours.
How many spotted cows did you have?
So I'm not a big. So spotted cow was average to me.
Okay.
We had to make a trip to so I did see the greatest liquor store you've ever been. Well, I thought it was the greatest liquor store. First off, it has shopping carts. Okay. Mm-hmm. You walk in and it's
Wisconsin, right?
It's a full liquor store, a full grocery store as big as our Kroger's. All right. First 5 aisles are nothing but wine from Sam's Club top shelf all the way down. When I say Sam's Club, I'm talking about the racks they're sitting on. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, where's your beer at? And the guy's like, oh, you mean that low rent piece of crap stuff? It's in the back left in the cooler. You walk in this cooler, Tony. The cooler was as big as your first level here.
Wow.
Of cold beer. So then I'm like, where's a damn warm spotted cow? Right? It's Wisconsin. They got to have spotted cow. I knew my father wanted some. I'm not a big fan. And so
what is it? Is it a light beer? What is it?
Yeah, it's a light lager in my opinion.
Lager? Okay.
Yeah, nothing crazy. It's good.
Did you drink one?
I did, yeah. I had one on the way home to make sure I didn't need to buy myself a case. Yeah. And their Oktoberfest, though, from the new Geely's or whoever makes it, was really good.
Wow.
And so the guy's like, oh, right here. And so spotted cow is really tough to find, apparently. And they've got 2 shelves full like a Sam's Club or a Costco.
Wow.
Of nothing but the warm beer. Is unbelievable. Just floor to ceiling. So that was pretty cool. It was a good trip. It was cold. It was windy and cold off Lake Michigan up there.
Oh, I see you had your patriotic shorts on.
Yeah.
Like your Ship's Gonna Happen shirt. So you weren't too chilly, right?
Well, I wasn't, but that's why I went and bought this jacket. Because, I could.
That's a nice jacket, by the way. I like it.
I paid a nice price.
I'm sure
for it.
You did.
And it was all right for me. Everyone, I mean, a lot of people had parkas on. I'm not making it up.
I know.
It was 65 and there was probably 20-mile-an-hour wind on the lake.
Yeah,
so
like 48.
Cloudy. It was a little brisk.
Yeah. Did you talk it up with any Europeans? Did you?
I booed a few.
Okay. There you go.
I did, but
so
the Europeans went off the back 10, off number 10 on the back. The United States went off the front. We got a seat at the number 1, and then we kind of met up with them. And it's tough to boom when they're hitting shots within 8 feet of the hole.
Right.
I played a lot of golf in my life. I'm telling you, this course,
brutal.
If you're not hitting the fairways are generous to some extent. If you don't hit the fairway, I don't know how they find the ball.
So it's not like an open links type.
It's a links, but they've got real bunkers and they've got these what do they call them? Something bunkers, where they're bunkers, but they're not hazardous bunkers.
Okay.
That's where the fans walk in, but there's heather grass up to your knees.
Yeah.
You're not finding it.
That's thick stuff. So who's the Ryder Cup president for our team? Who's our
captain is Steve Stricker.
Oh, yeah. Illinois boy.
Steve Stricker. He said he's Wisconsin, but he's a Bears fan.
He played at the University of Illinois, was a coach there too.
Okay. Well, Steve Stricker, who actually fixed Tiger Woods' putting game, by the way, in case you guys didn't know that. When Tiger was struggling, he gave him a little tiny tip. And Tiger said that won him 2 more majors.
Yeah.
So was that course right on Lake Michigan? Or?
Right on. So number 1 goes in, and then number 2 comes back. So we were sitting at the hotel that night, and number 2's here. There's a whole nother hole, number 8, down below it. You can't even see it. You saw the lake.
Yeah.
But it's set so far below number 2. That's how crazy, how big these hills are.
Yeah.
And we're up on hills above number 2.
Was your Days Inn sold out?
No, we went Holiday Inn Express. They did not give free breakfast, and because of probably COVID, the restaurant wasn't open. They weren't open for the bar on the first night we got there. They were on the second night, but closed at 9 p.m.
Timmy was hungry.
It was, hey, Ship's going to happen. I noticed that up there. They struggled on staffing as well.
Beautiful Sheboygan, Wisconsin. I went there to see Bella's Bar Talk one time. So
all right, there you go. Well, Ship's going to happen's been there now.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm glad you had a good trip. So we'll go
nice.
Who else has got a random thought?
You know what? I got something I need to mention here. We got, we're getting subscribers on the YouTube channel. We're getting subscribers on the www.shipsgonnahappen.com. And I wanted to make sure I mentioned, because it was like a beautiful email that was brought to us. A gentleman by the name of Jeremy said, "Hey, Tony B, I listened to a handful of your shows this morning on my run." He's currently a driver. "I enjoyed your podcast very much. I'm a lifelong friend of Timmy D." I didn't know Timmy D had a lot of friends. Did you, David?
I did.
So he's friends at launch.
Did I send this in myself? By the way, this is the first time I've heard this email. So
he's been driving a truck since 2005. He got his CDL when he was 19 years old. He's hauled for heavy operated machinery at the start. He's hauled trash for a few years. So he's a dedicated driver and stuck in this industry for a while. He eventually went to Conway, which was an old CCX LTL company, from 2009 to 2014. He finally got on at UPS on the parcel side. And he says, "I'd like to hear your all's take on union versus non-union companies. Here lately, the transportation industry is making a push for electric vehicles, especially in California." Big surprise, huh?
We talked about that.
We talked about that, but we can hit some of that back for him. And then he said, at UPS, they have diesel, CNG, and LNG. And I know they use that a lot at their airports and at their bigger terminals, the world ports. "I personally don't see how electric vehicles, especially big trucks, can make it through the long haul distances with electric. Do you all think that's so?" And another major topic for him, which I thought, man,
let's go one at a time here.
Yeah,
I'll finish out. Go ahead.
Yeah, and we can hit him back. So,
so electric vehicles. He's asking. He's asking us, do we really think electrical vehicles will actually
and
take
we've
place?
talked about that. Yeah,
and he wants to know about the union versus non-union.
Right, and then he goes on. And this one here hit me because I really didn't have an answer, and I thought about this long and hard. He said, "A major topic I'd like to see you guys cover would be a better food source for truckers while on the road." And I started thinking about that, and I was like, man, every truck stop I see, it's like a greasy skillet.
Yeah, he doesn't like gizzards. I mean, isn't gizzards a thing? Gizzards and liver?
He said it's only fast food, right? And maybe you'd be lucky to get a fresh fruit basket or something. So last suggestion, he says, "I wanted to know your guys' opinion on working 7-day in an LT operation versus 5 days like XPO and FedEx Freight. The pros and cons. Does a 7-day operation lead to better success?" And also another topic I'd like to hear you guys talk about is the least carrier that damages freight. I appreciate you reading my email. Any questions, feel free to ask me. I'd like to do more. If you'd like more topics from me, I'm sure I could come up with some. Tell Timmy D.
What'd he say?
I said hello. And
Who is this? I mean, I know some Jeremys. So.
yeah, I wasn't going to say his last name. But
No, don't. Yeah,
but
good.
you can read it off. I can show you afterwards. And but I love that email, Jeremy. Thank you.
Great
You very much.
Thank you, Jeremy.
And we're going to hit this. Go ahead. Let's talk about them real quick. We got a few minutes left, right? So hit the. We'll go into the electric versus none.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we've talked about it on this show quite a bit. When and if that ever takes hold, it's probably going to be a while. And I mean, guys, back me up here. Tell me what you guys think. But I just don't know that that's really going to be a viable.
So your side, what's your take? Yes or no?
On the electric?
Yes or no?
Eventually.
Eventually, yes.
Yeah, eventually.
You, Tony
Like
B?
You're already seeing it on the short haul. Amazon does it from California to Arizona, right? But they also have 2 vehicles follow the 2 trucks. There's 2 trucks that run in groups, so they're all GPS together, and they run right next to each other, and they're 53-foot trucks. And Amazon runs them from California.
So it's like an escort, oversized load coming through type deal?
Well, yeah, I think they're controlling it to make sure there's no accidents, and they may have to pull over and charge it somehow. I don't know what equipment they have in there.
So it's electric?
It's all electric, yeah. And it's not driven there's no human in the cab. So you're seeing some of that. So I think Jeremy's right. For the long haul, that might be a while. And I imagine, like what you just asked David, I mean, how does a truck going to back up to pick the dock out that David wants them in?
Same way they parallel park cars now with the daggone hit the button, look at my hands free on this Buick. They advertise it all day long.
Yeah, I guess they've gotten to that point now, right, to do that. So, David, you feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be trial and error, and I'm not saying my answer is the right answer, but I can definitely see them trying to go that way. I don't know how it's going to work. People with a lot more smarts than me are going to have to figure that out, but I don't know.
So here's my thing. I'm against it.
He's against it.
I'm against it. I'm the first one to buy an all drive yourself vehicle so I can work while I drive. I'll be honest there. Or maybe I can sit as a passenger and drink if it's legal, let it drive. But I'm against it. And my reasons behind that is I know the computer eliminates a lot of human error.
Right.
But humans also can react, in my opinion, with weather conditions and things like that and traffic conditions. They can adjust and make that decision on the fly. The other thing you run into, so maybe on the long haul side, it could possibly be there, but as far as everyday drivers that deliver the freight, these drivers that go through the back of their trucks deliver these things how they want. It's not how it's put on your trailer.
Right.
There's no perfect science on how you load it. You may run into a dock that's got 6 trucks waiting out to deliver.
Exactly.
You may have to work around that and come back in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing could happen on the long haul side, to where there's a construction that wasn't announced that happened. There could be an overturned semi that something didn't reroute you.
Yep.
I know that the GPSs are good and they kind of update you a little bit, but what is a truck route? What's not a truck route? When do you blow a tire? How does a computer control a vehicle that has a blown tire? What happens when the gas, when your fuel line is jammed up and it breaks down? How do these computers react to those type of situations? I think that you still need to have the human element that is there.
Mm-hmm. So when we're talking electric vehicles, I don't think autonomous. I think electric vehicle is an electric car, an electric semi. I don't think of it as autonomous.
Okay.
Are we talking?
Yeah, there's 2 different.
Did he
that's
say
a good.
electric or autonomous?
He said electric.
My
that's
bad.
a good
I went
point.
on a whole different.
Because I went with you.
Nope.
Because that's what I was.
I thought
going.
I might have misunderstood.
Nope. I'm glad you separated that.
Well, it could come sooner than you think.
But still, yet.
But what's the mileage range?
Yeah.
I mean, on the best, as I call them, Tulsas, the Teslas out there,
300 and some miles.
Yeah, 320 miles. Yeah. You're not going to get the semi is going to need to go.
It's a lot more power.
What's the point of it? Now, if you can go autonomous and move 2,100 miles from Indianapolis to San Diego, okay. If we can get, but you know that it costs, what they say, it's something to get one of those. One lithium battery is a year's worth of gas taken to build one of those. So how green are we getting?
Well, the old Prius is that the battery runs out. Try to buy it's $40,000 to get a battery for a Prius that's 20 years old.
Meet your new fleet of Freightliner electric trucks. Freightliner electric trucks like the S Cascadia and the EM2 are on North America roads today, driven by dozens of drivers enduring the rigors of real world operations day in and day out. These drivers and fleets rely on products every day. So I took electric is not autonomous.
No, that's fine. I'm glad you separated.
I think you're right.
I'm glad you separated that
That's
because
the question. I should have answered it.
No,
because the autonomous will be further off than the electric that's already in place.
So
right?
to Jeremy's point, and as Tim mentioned, I think it's going to happen quick, and I'd have to know more about it to whether it's going to be.
It's already happening.
Tony B, I think autonomous will come before electric. You have too many trucks that you'd have to replace before you can get a computer to figure out how to drive itself.
It could.
That's my opinion.
Could. But I think you've got unions involved, and you have.
Let's talk about the unions. What's the positives of the unions and the non-positives, real quick?
Well, we talked about it earlier with the international longshoremen, right?
We're not touching this crap.
They're not gonna let people come in and do the autonomous stuff because they're gonna protect their jobs, and they have an agreement to do that.
So when I think of trucking companies, LTL wise, especially that went out of business over the years, I think of union carriers, Consolidated Freightways.
Yep.
I believe Brandt was a union carrier back then.
What's left? That is
Alvan.
That is union.
You have Yellow and you have ABF.
Yellow, right? YRC. Yep. So Yellow, ABF.
That's about it. National carriers. That's it.
Yeah, but that's it, right?
Yeah.
But I think that your non-union trucking companies kind of operate similar to a union company.
Yeah.
To the point of seniority still there. The pay is still the same for everybody, right? Yeah. Everyone's getting paid the same. Your benefits are the same. So what does the union do to help benefit that?
Well, I forgot to mention UPS obviously is union too, right?
UPS parcel,
yeah.
Yes.
In this day and age, is a union something that's viable or necessary?
There hasn't been a union company started in the last 20 years in trucking.
That's a lie. T-Force. Oh, not T-Force. I'm sorry. No, they're not union. They're. I'll hold that. We'll push that.
There hasn't been.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet. You're right.
There hasn't been one that started.
But then, should there be then? I mean, should there be another union carrier started?
So
I'm not saying
let's talk about the top three benefits, in my opinion, of a union company are arguing wages, right? Wages and healthcare, put it all together. Mm-hmm. There's one.
Yeah.
All right. Which is all equal for every single person that's hired. That's what they argue for. Number two is that set contract to where you're not going out of business for so many years once the contract's signed, per se. All right. And the other thing in favor for them is they pretty much protect your job. If you get by said grace periods, if you're on, you're pretty protected. To fire a union employee in the trucking industry is extremely tough. To include, it protects you from accidents when you're out there, so it takes that risk off. It could be dock injuries, things like that non-union companies could fire you for real quick.
Yep.
The negative part of it, the top three, in my opinion, of a union company is the cost to do business, right? You're typically paying a whole lot more in your health care than other companies do for that. So the cost to do business with the union is there. Well, let me break that up to healthcare costs the company a whole lot more. Runarounds or pay and grievances and lawyer costs and things like that of bullcrap cost a lot of money. The other big negative thing is you're not allowed to just say, hey, no, shut up and go do this versus no, I don't have to do that because that's not part of my job. I bid this. I should do this. So that's the three things: is the management fighting worth the workforce, the cost of healthcare, and the bad apples that you can't get rid of. Right. So that's the positive of the three and the negative of the three, I think, of a union company.
I'll add one more in there that's positive. I think the long-term employee, you're going to find the average length of employment at a company, a union, is probably going to be a lot longer than it is.
Is that a positive or a negative thing?
I think in a lot of cases it's positive because you've got a better quality train, safety. You've got a lot of better quality, But
the negative part of that is you can't get rid of the bad apples that continue to damage freight.
Right. So that's a great topic.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. And then damaging freight, I think you hear about it all the way across the board.
Everybody says they damage less than 1%, right? You'd have to dig into every carrier's
If you look at how are claims paid out, here's what I always used to talk to my drivers about. And this will be good for you, Jeremy, to listen to. Claims never talks about the actual claims, in my opinion, on what I've seen. Claims talks about how much they've paid out. All right.
You don't talk about the denied.
So
claims.
let's say it's $1 trillion, because we used trillion earlier in the show, $1 trillion of damage claims, but we only paid out $1 million, right? So they're going to tell you the percentage of claims paid out is X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And that's why you talk about the paid out claims, not the amount claimed against a company. And I don't think any company would allow you to know how much was claimed against you.
That's why they always say, you're right. That's why they always say less than 1%, because that's really what they're paying out is less than 1%.
Well,
so.
and it's also back to liability. I would say that your top 10 LTLs are pretty much self-insured when it comes to, and the liability is pretty much equal across the board. And it's paid out by class, by weight, by hundredweight. There's a lot of factors that go into how a claim is paid.
Yep.
And for you to know out there, Jeremy and all the other drivers, it also goes back to how that delivery receipt is signed, that proof of delivery. It's not signed, damage,
not a claim.
Yep.
then how can you claim it? And it's tough to teach the consignees that don't pay for it. They don't give a damn. Go ahead, Dave.
One of the things that's pissed me off recently is there's some LTL carriers that have decided that when they destroy something in freight, that they need a picture of it to go with the claim. Well, I'm going to tell you what, you destroyed it in transit. You give me the picture of it. How am I going to give you the picture of it when you completely destroyed it?
Yeah, that's a good point.
No, we're not going to pay this because we don't have a picture. Oh, are you kidding me?
Right. 7 days versus normal work days. When I first got in this industry, we had just Roadway I worked for. We're moving out of the 7 days. And Jeremy, I got to tell you, day 5, I was ready for day 7. If you're really walking the dock and not hiding out in your tiny little bubble on the dock, your knees, your joints, you're wore out by day 5, day 6, day 7. Some carriers that offer the 7 days.
People only work 5-day work weeks.
Oh Lord. Some people that do, when you did the 7 on, 7 off, you didn't get vacation because you had 7 days off, right?
Gosh, damn, you had 26 weeks of 52 off.
Yeah. And when you're young and not married, you're spending that money on your days off, right? Right. So then by day 5 of your day off, you're like, holy shit, I got to go back to work in 2 days, right? And you know the grueling part. So I think there's positives to it because if you're a heavy break bulk, 300-400 door terminal, you probably need to run a 7-day operation just to cycle through it, right?
But then you would get your staff, so your staff's not working 7 days. You would just
if you can do that.
Right.
I think what Jeremy's alluding to is some companies only work Monday through Friday.
Right.
Some companies work 7 days a week. They're going to 65 days a year.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think there's a hybrid model to that. So let's say you've got a terminal in Evansville, Indiana, like every LTL company does. Evansville, Indiana doesn't need to work 7 days to process freight over the weekend to get it to destination because they're not a hub. They're not a
not a break bulk, like I was saying.
Not a break bulk or
they don't
DC,
need it.
Right? So they don't need to process freight. So your DCs, wherever that may come from out of Evansville, whether it be like a Nashville, a St. Louis, an Indianapolis, a Cincinnati, a Louisville, anywhere that's a DC, the reason they work 7 days a week is to continue to process freight over the weekend to ensure nothing stops. Because if you're doing, especially long haul, if you're doing a 4-day transit from Evansville to Los Angeles, you get a jump start by it getting into Kansas City or St. Louis and working it Saturday, moving to Kansas City for Sunday, and it moves Monday. So you're moving that freight. The problem lies in that on a DC, a break bulk, one of those bigger facilities that works 7 days, is because they're breaking all this freight over the weekend, they're pulling more city freight that's not due until Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of the following week.
Right.
It gets mixed in with all the Monday due delivery freight for those that still have a city operation to run. And now you're mixing in Tuesday, Wednesday, is taking up Monday due freight, and those supervisors can't break those in order, or they're not date separated is what I always refer to. Date separate things that come in. So your bigger break bulks have to work 7 days a week to keep the service cycle process. Your smaller facilities can probably try to figure it out. So typically, let's say in Evansville, at any given day, let's say a terminal delivers, and I'm just going to use even numbers here, 500 bills. Okay, on average every day, it's 2,500 bills a week. 1,000 of those bills will be there on Monday morning. Of the 2,500 for the week, 1,000 would be there. Probably not quite. Okay, let's say 800. Okay, so let's say a third of the bills are there for Monday. Now Evansville has to go through every trailer and find out Monday due. So that's a struggle for a 5-day facility versus a 7-day facility. But I think you have to have a 7-day facility at your bigger.
You have to, because those smaller terminals.
The service cycle to roll.
Because you're like you said, and what I was alluding to is the fact that you're able to push your city freight out. You're able to get your lanes loaded quicker on a 7-day facility if you got it running like that. If you're in a smaller facility, you got to flip your dock from inbound to outbound because you don't have enough dock doors, and that's usually done in the early morning times, and then you flip it back to outbound after the morning runs are done.
Is your terminal 7 days a week?
5 days a week.
Okay.
So, and me being selfish, and Jeremy, I'm going to tell you, me being selfish, I worked freaking nights and weekends for the first 13 years of my career. So the heck with all you young softens out there. You work 7 days a week and you work nights and weekends. And I hope everyone runs 7 days a week to keep the service cycle up. I mean, just so that I'm not the only one that did it like an idiot back in the day on the dock.
Well said.
In today's market, though, you might have to just to keep up, right, with the pace of things.
Yeah.
So Tony, is terminal running 7 days at all, anytime?
Well, it's misleading. For the P&D is going to be 5 days, right? But they're still running line haul out of there all throughout. And there's drivers still doing switches and stuff, so it's really never technically shut down. But from a P&D side, there's no pickups and deliveries, but there's switches being made.
I remember back in Conway days. I mean, 10 p.m. on a Friday. It's dark.
Yeah.
You won't get a hold of anyone until 6 a.m. come Monday morning at a Conway terminal. And I think a lot of even company I work for or whomever, I'm just saying that a lot of your 5 days a week terminals, there's a cutthroat. That manager's working. He's done. At 10 p.m., good luck.
Yeah.
In or out. And now the line haul drivers will come in and do their own switches and their own paperwork. You have to set all that up. But your facility was done. Yep. You're locked the doors.
I mean, I didn't think Indianapolis is 5 days, but it'd be the same similar thing of where they're doing switches over the weekends, and there's still people coming into the terminal line haul, picking up loads and lanes. I'm sure that managers are probably maybe with the stress levels up, but the traffic levels are going in on Saturdays, probably to make sure loads are being done and met. Unless they have some computer technology to do it from home on the weekends. But Jeremy, man, good topics, brother.
Jeremy, I don't know. I'm going to learn your last name here before too long. I'll give you a shout out, brother. Appreciate you tuning in, man. And, I'll holler at you, brother. Anything else, hit me up. I'm sure you've got my number and we can, I'll try to discuss whatever you got. I'm sure we've got the same. I got a feeling. I think I know who you are.
You
I'm
know
not sure
this
yet,
guy.
But I've got a feeling we're on the same page when it comes to the dumbness we see every day.
Jeremy, thanks for listening to the Ship's Gonna Happen show. We appreciate your email. Great email.
Absolutely, Jeremy.
I'll get you a T-shirt just for being you.
Yeah, I was going to say we're going to grab him one, and I think Timmy's going to figure out who it is. So thank you, Jeremy. And I tell you what, hit us back up, and we're going to get you a shirt like Timmy suggested, and it'll all come to you. We'll get you one that fits you, hopefully. And again, if you got any more suggestions, we'd like to hear them. You can subscribe on www.shipsgonnahappen.com and also our YouTube, right? So
Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. It's all, if it's not there, it'll be there in the next week for sure. We got to do some funny TikTok videos.
Yeah.
I'm not sure yet. Got to get some humor in you boys' bones. Maybe a little alcohol on a Saturday.
There we go.
Can make it happen.
Definitely. Tim, did you have something you wanted to go back to?
Cake stands. What? I want to get back to, I don't know. Random
you said
thoughts.
save something. You said save something for
something
random
about
thought.
the ports.
Yeah.
That was one of them. What was the other one? Daggone it. Dag-nabbit.
Dag-nabbit.
Did you have any other random thoughts, though, Tim, or anything?
I don't have any other random. I'm going to West Virginia, the home of David B., and going to go see my cousins getting married out there in the middle of nowhere, and it'll be good to see him next Saturday.
I'll be there a couple days before Tim.
So speaking of which, we got to figure out. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
We'll do that. Yeah, we'll get it all figured out. You're listening to Ship's Happen.
Ship's gonna happen.
Ship is gonna happen.
You can reach us on www.shipsgonnahappen.com.
Shout out to real quick to Trisha, a friend of mine. She's working with me.
Trisha
She's on a different level than me. My buddy K Rush. K Rush has helped us a little
with
bit
the website,
and then Trish is helping us on some marketing things. So got to get in touch with her. I've been out of the hip pocket at the Ryder Cup. So.
Shout out to our new gal and our new Hall of Famer Camilla that was on today with us. From beautiful state of West Virginia. It gave some insight on the female aspect of
should have
the
got a hotel in
industry.
Fayetteville if it's that good. You told me the same thing.
There we go.
All right. This is Ship's Gonna Happen. We are out.
Are you shipping me?
Hey, Timmy, were you shipping me earlier? Why are you shipping me like that?
Ship's gonna happen, son.
Man, why are you shipping me? All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend and the rest of your Saturday.
I'm gonna go get drunk now.
Ship's Gonna Happen. Out.